I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. And the time is 5:01. The board will now reconvene into open session. The time is 5:42. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the matters from the floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. Finally, I would like to remind you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Item 5, invocation and pledge of allegiance. Ms. Winkley.
Okay, hello everybody. So over the 14 years that I volunteered at Sophia and David School, as Mr. Oxley can attest, I would often be at the campus when we had the pledge and the moment of silence. And so given the week we had this past week, I thought that I would share the prayer that I would say when I was on campus at the kids' school. And so if you'll please bow your heads. And if we could just take a few moments to hold the Reagan community in our hearts. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessing of family and of health. I ask that you hold our campuses in your protection. May each student see your face and hear your voice in their teachers and in staff. And may teachers and staff see your face and hear your voice in their students. Help them make good decisions and know that they are loved and that they matter. In your name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I don't have a certificate for you, Ms. Winkley.
Oh, do you have a cookie? How about a cookie?
Would you like a picture?
Take a snazzy photo, too.
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very nice job. Item 6, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments. Do I have a motion to approve as presented in executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 2, Principal of Hidden Forest. Do I have a motion to approve the Principal of Hidden Forest as discussed in executive session?
So moved?
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 3, Director of Northeast School of the Arts. Do I have a motion to approve as discussed in executive session?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 4, introductions. First introduction, Miss Peggy Turner, welcome.
Yay.
We have, Peggy is our new board liaison, and we're very excited to get to work with her. Dr.
Thank you.
Micah.
Thank you. And I'm excited to work with Peggy, too. She does a great job. So the new principal of Hidden Forest Elementary will be Renette Powell. And the new director for the Northeast School of the Arts will be Lanita Spurlock. I will bring you them at a future board meeting for a formal introduction. And I also want to congratulate Mr. Jimenez. The title of interim is now lifted. You have it now, Mr. Jimenez. That is all the introductions I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item B, possible action on the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072, no action. C, possible action regarding consultation with board's attorney pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071, 1, pending and or possible litigation, no action. Item 7, new business for possible board action. A, business services, 1, possible action regarding resolution to adopt a voting system for May 2nd, 2020 general election. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Mike, executive staff, and guests. I call on Deb Caldwell, our Director of Governmental Relations and Grant Development.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, Dr. Micah, executive staff, and guests. Tonight, you have resolution to adopt a voting system. As a board entity, you have to adopt the method of which voting takes place. We are fortunate to have the Bexar County Elections Department run our elections for us through a joint elections agreement, and they recently adopted a new voting system in 2019. So because they took that action and you have an election coming up as our first election with that new equipment, you must adopt that new equipment as well. The resolution includes all the required information that's required by the Secretary of State's office in conjunction with election code. The resolution will remain in effect for all future elections until the equipment is changed again, at which time you'd have to do a resolution. So it is recommended that you adopt the resolution that's in your packet.
Okay, so we won't have to do this again for a future election unless something changes?
Unless the equipment changes.
Okay.
This resolution stays in effect
Okay,
until the
perfect.
next.
Does anybody else have any questions about this?
Was it used in Iowa?
I'm sorry?
Was it used in Iowa recently?
Was it, sorry?
Was it used in Iowa recently?
It was not.
No.
It was not. But the rumor is that Texas will have a delay as well.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. Do I have a motion to authorize the adoption of the Bexar County election system and software, Express Vote Universal Voting System for early voting in person, early voting by mail, election day voting, and provisional ballots in all future elections through the attached resolution?
So
So-
moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a
Second.
second? Thank you, Ms.
Nice.
Winkley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. Item 2, possible action regarding order of election for May 2nd, 2020 general election. Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President, I call on Deb Caldwell.
Thank you, Madam President. The district will be holding a general election in May to elect board members in single-member districts 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The single-member District 3 trustee election is to fill an unexpired 2-year term. So that trustee position will be up again for election in 2022. The May 2020 general election will be held jointly with Bexar County and other political subdivisions as required by law. You just passed a resolution for new voting equipment, thank you. But there's another change in Bexar County that I wanted to tell you about. It's regarding how Bexar County and other urban areas are using what's called vote centers. So on election day in the past, if you missed early voting, which means you can vote anywhere, if you missed early voting on election day, you had to go to your precinct polling location based off of your home residence in order to cast a ballot. Now Bexar County and again other urban areas have gone to vote centers, meaning you can cast a ballot anywhere at a vote center, wherever you work, wherever you go to school, wherever you live. So you don't actually have to go to your home precinct. Well, what does that mean in practical terms? Well, it's more access to the voters. This past November was the first time that Bexar County did this vote center model. It was very successful. 40% of the voters who cast ballots in that election did so outside of their home precinct on election day. That was really good. And we also saw higher voter turnout for that election, which typically November of odd number years have low turnout because it's just constitutional amendments. So you'll no longer be required to just vote in your home precinct. That increases the access, but it may delay election returns. So in the past, elected officials would wait for election returns to come in. They knew which precincts need to be reported in order to call the election in favor of one particular winner. But now, because ballots are cast everywhere, you're not just waiting on certain precinct locations to report. You're waiting on every vote center to report elections. Because I work at Northeast, I might cast a ballot here at Northeast, but I don't live in any of the congressional districts, any of the Senate districts, any of the state districts that are represented by this building. I live on a different part of town. So in order to call an election for a winner, you have to wait for all the vote centers to be reported in. So that will delay some of the election night returns. We're kind of used to calling elections in certain areas around 8 o'clock. The other piece is that, nope, that was it for my vote center discussion. Thank you for letting me discuss those. I thought I had one more thing, but I don't see that. Thank you for letting me discuss that important change, and it is recommended that you approve the attached order of election for the May 2020 trustee elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know. Do I have a motion to approve? Yes, do I have a motion to approve the attached order of election for the May 2nd, 2020 trustee elections?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkley. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hasso. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the motion carries. Okay, run. Thank you. Item B, consent. 1, instruction and campus administration. A, TEA low attendance waiver. 2, business services. A, 50,000 purchases. 3, operations. A, 2015 Bond Elementary School Campus Facilities Safety and Security Upgrades Project, perimeter fencing and gates, bid award approval. B, easement dedication for drainage, streets, utilities, and various service agreements at Wood Middle School. C, professional services contracts, construction contracts, and related contract amendments supporting the 2015 bond design and construction requirements. 4, minutes from October, November, and December 2019. 5, end of consent. Do I have a board member wishing to pull an item from consent? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Byer. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Leos. It always throws
Got to
me.
get used to that. That's right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Item 8, reports. A, financial statement review of expenditures, that's been provided for you. B, awarded bid report, that's been provided for you. C, second quarter investment report, that's been provided for you. Item 9, matters from the floor. The trustees welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for up to 3 minutes, but are not permitted to make 1, personal complaints about an individual or staff board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies. 2, a personnel action. 3, a student disciplinary matter. 4, a complaint about a particular student. 5, or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing the board at future meetings. We also welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail, care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Ms. Huey.
Natalie Watts.
Well, good evening, board members and Dr. Micah. My name is Natalie Watts, and I'm the librarian at Huebner Elementary School. I'm a product of Northeast. I graduated from Churchill High School many years ago. My oldest son graduated from Johnson this past spring, and I have 2 other children currently in Northeast schools, so I feel very vested in our district and community. Now, my greatest passion is libraries, but I'm not here to talk about that tonight. I'd like to speak about STEAM education and makerspace. So you might be familiar with STEM. STEAM education adds fine arts to the science, technology, engineering, and math level of instruction. And these lead to the 4 C's of instruction, which are critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. Students involved in STEAM experiences learn to take thoughtful risks, engage in inquiry, persist in problem solving, embrace collaboration, and work through the creative process. STEAM careers are on the rise in the United States, and I recently heard a statistic that said we will need 1 million more STEAM professionals over the next decade than we are projected to produce at the current rate. So how can NEISD help combat this shortage? Well, about 5 years ago, makerspace was a buzzword in libraries, and I was trying to find a way to incorporate makerspace into my library, which is a space where students go to have STEAM experiences. At the same time, our GT teacher, Darren Polanco, who's now our assistant principal, was also thinking of how to bring makerspace to her GT students. And a parent asked her a very hard question. If the GT students can benefit from these STEAM experiences, can't all of our students at Huebner benefit from them? And the answer, of course, is yes. So we created the Huebner Makerspace Lab. So the lab is a classroom that focuses solely on STEAM instruction. Students visit Makerspace at Huebner as part of our specials rotation. They work through a variety of challenges and projects that incorporate STEAM, such as design process, robotics, circuitry, coding, and more. It's a highly engaging, creative, rigorous, hands-on, active, and collaborative space. And in fact, our innovative model has been now replicated in over 40 schools across the state, more than 25 in Northeast alone. Many schools have created these labs based on NEEF grants, held fundraisers, and invested donations from community partnerships. At Huebner, we've invested over $15,000 into our Makerspace Lab, and we continue to raise money each year to fund the program. I'm very proud of what we've created at Huebner, but I know the programs in the district are being held back by a big hurdle. The Makerspace Labs are staffed by paraprofessionals, with the exception of 2 campuses. I believe that for this innovative program to grow, our elementary Makerspace Labs need to have a professionally certified teacher teaching the instruction. So I'm proposing that tonight. The benefits of a certified teacher are numerous. Certified teachers have pedagogy that can enrich the student learning experience. They create teach-based lessons that lead to a deeper level of those 4 Cs. They have an understanding of student data and can use it to create lessons targeting individual student differences, abilities, and skill levels. Certified teachers have training in classroom management, which is key for a successful learning environment that is
I'm sorry, your time is
I knew
up.
it would happen. I'm so sorry. Okay, there's so many advantages.
It's okay.
And the last thing I just want to say is the 2 schools that have it are Castle Hills and West Avenue, and I was told because they're magnet programs they have it. So just to leave you with this question, if those 2 campuses students can benefit from certified teachers in Makerspace, can't all of our students in our district benefit?
Thank you.
And the next name, Paula, and I'm sorry, I cannot read the last name, might be Hilliard.
Hi, I'm Paula Hilliard, and I'm a parent of District 6, Reagan Cluster. I am just going to request that someone consider putting this on the agenda for the next meeting. Here is the background. Motivated, I have to talk very fast, 3 minutes. Motivated by a huge federal grant, people were pushing a sex education. They successfully got it passed the school board into schools, which taught material that outraged parents as soon as they heard what was actually in it. They called it offensive and indoctrinating of children. The pushers of this sex ed were arrogant. They claimed that they knew better than parents. They attacked conservative views, and they had no problem using deceptive statistics, lies, and anti-parent actions to get what they wanted. This all happened 40 years ago when Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz began pushing its sex ed into Santa Cruz area schools. What does this have to do with NEISD? If you were here long enough, you remember that during the passage of the middle school Draw the Line, Respect the Line sex education, which was a controversial situation, many parents and community members tried to bring this information forward along with other issues. No one seemed to believe that the publisher of this curriculum, ETR, started out as Planned Parenthood. But then SB 22 came along. So very recently, a district employee asked for and received a letter from the national salesman of each ETR stating there was never a relationship between ETR and Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz. Well, like 40 years ago, parents today are onto the situation. In Santa Cruz, Planned Parenthood felt the pressure because their parents started fighting back. Parents realized that a business which profits by sexualizing children was dangerous and crazy to allow into schools. So to protect its business model, this Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz board of directors voted to separate its education project from the clinical services under a name that makes it hard for parents to then draw this connection. The name they chose was Education, Training, Research, or ETR Associates. Who founded ETR? Remember, we were told there was no connection. The executive director of Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz, the vice president of the board of Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz, the president of the board of Planned Parenthood Santa Cruz are the ones who founded ETR. Plus, ETR operated out of the home of the executive director of Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz and out of the offices of Planned Parenthood of Santa Cruz themselves. This is the tip of a dirty iceberg I don't have enough time to get into. But parents and community members have been trying to protect our children, bringing information forward, and we deserve to not only be heard at a board meeting, but vindicated by the district. I request that a board member today call for a full investigation into this whole situation and place on the next regular meeting of open session a discussion about this, including presentations from community members who've been sounding this alarm from the beginning. Meanwhile, realize that we're using taxpayer dollars to implement this curriculum by a publisher who's willing to deceive us, not just the district, but parents as well. Thank you.
Item 10, discussion and possible action regarding board members' request for items to be placed on a future agenda and our request for reports from the administration. Do I have a board member requesting anything? Seeing none, item 11, adjournment, and the time is 6:03. Thank you all for being here.